$8.3 million. That's not the cost of my Neocash bill. $8.3 million is the value of the world's most expensive postage stamp, the British Guiana 1-cent magenta. It is the only one of its kind, the sole survivor of an emergency printing nearly 200 years ago, and it holds a value higher than my bank account will see in a lifetime. And it isn't the only stamp selling for millions. These astronomical numbers can leave us with a sense of hopelessness. There's no world in which I'd ever be able to spend $8 million on a stamp, unless we're talking virtual worlds. Stamps are the final boss of collectibles in Neopets. Being single-use, rarely rewarded, and avatar awarding, it's the perfect storm for an ungodly price tag. In the real world, a collector can obtain a rare stamp, have all the glory of being its owner, and then sell it off later at a profit. But on Neopets, once you add a collectible to your album, you can't take it out. And you want to. Completing each stamp album page awards an avatar, so you have to use these items, removing them from circulation, to be able to embody the full prestige of stamp collecting. This is why on Neopets, the cost of the 1-cent Guiana looks like pocket change. In fact, there are hundreds of Neopian stamps that cost more than the Guiana, many reaching 9 figures or above. So today, we're going to answer the most pressing question about Neopian stamp collecting. How much does it cost? There are 26 stamp pages that award avatars on Neopets. We're going to find the cost of each one and then add them up for the grand total. But before we can get to the crunchy numbers, I need to address something very important. The Neopian economy is volatile. Stamp availability doesn't change every day, but when it does, it's like a stranger barfing in your subway car. It comes out of nowhere and has the potential to disrupt everything. The fate of entire pages can change when a stamp plummets in value. The fate of the entire album, though, it's so large, it feels impossible that small fluctuations would make much of a dent in the big picture. Right? Regardless, today's video is a snapshot in time. Some stamps may change tomorrow, some may stay the same for another 20 years. Even if you're seeing this video as it launches, or in 2035, it's not going to be exactly the same. But that doesn't make this video useless. Not only do I think the numbers will hold up for a while, I also recognize that this snapshot is worthwhile in and of itself. The values I'm sharing today are my assessment of the most common, most recent prices as per Jellyneo's trading post archives. So to be clear, just because I'm saying a stamp is worth a certain amount, that's not me telling you some immutable number or something that I believe is the proper value. This is just data from research done on August 2nd, 2025. I'm recording this way later though, and some things have changed in the meantime. Make sure to stick around to the end. Oh, and also, just in case anyone gets confused, when I'm talking about stamps, that means everything that goes in your stamp album, including coins, charms, and coconuts. We're going to take a look at the first and oldest album page to understand why these numbers got so high, before flipping through the rest. Though maybe we'll meet some friends and hear some brief tales along the way. So let's go back to 2002 and travel to Mystery Island. Packed with dense jungle, framed by glistening beaches, and guarded by a towering volcano, Mystery Island is a suitable setting for our first stop on this descent through the depths of Neopian collectibles. And for this page, we're going deep. We'll be breaking down where each of these stamps came from in detail, but we won't be going this deep for every page, don't worry. This is to teach us the different types of paths the tides of time have in store for Neopian collectibles, and how numbers so large can be so common. The Mystery Island page holds the oldest stamps on Neopets, but that doesn't mean they're all out of commission. 15 of them still restock in Neopian shops. Some appear constantly in huge quantities, and others, maybe one will show up once in a blue moon. This is why even some active stamps can demand upwards of 500 million Neopoints. But at least it isn't too much of a worry if collectors are adding these stamps to their albums, because there will be more coming out to buy. The same can't be said for the rest. 2 stamps here used to stock in shops, but were retired seemingly at random. This is a theme throughout the early pages. Some stamps had years to saturate the market, but others only had a brief tenure in shops, so they demand a high resale price. The Island Akara stamp was only active for a year, and now she's well worth 9 figures. And this isn't the end of it. Many stamps were awarded from limited time events. These can be story events, gaming events, sponsors, contests, but the point is that a few were released to a few people a long, long time ago. Let me really put this into perspective for you. Let's estimate that roughly 150 million people have played Neopets between 2002 and present. And then for a nice reasonable number, let's say 1/5 of them are relatively invested in stamp collecting. So for 30 million stamp collectors, there are 500 Mystery Island Goalie stamps to go around. Even if every single stamp survived the past 20 plus years without being used, lost, frozen, duped, glitched, destroyed, which they definitely did not, only 0.0017% of stamp collectors can finish this page. And that's pretty generous. Most contest stamps only came in batches of 250. This is how it was for over 2 decades, but the new era of Neopets has given life to some stamps without demolishing their infamy. The recently revived creative contests are now awarding these ancient competition relics, though our Island Goalie stamp still sits at a whopping 2 billion, and that's where the era shift luck ends. 5 stamps on this page were rewarded in 2005 from a sponsor event called the Great Stamp Giveaway. If you weren't logged on and ready to click some sponsor links for a few weeks 20 years ago, an entire quarter of this album page is lost to you. Unless, of course, you're willing to pay. How much exactly? Island Chef Stamp, 2 billion. Tombola Stamp, 2 billion. Island Uni Stamp, 2.5 billion. Bottle of Sand Stamp, 4 billion. Island Kiko Stamp, priceless. No, but actually, the Island Kiko stamp hasn't even been seen on the trading post in 3 years. You know what this means. The limited quantity that did once exist has either been used or swallowed by time. So, if you want to complete the Mystery Island page, you're SOL. But don't get too discouraged. The Island Kiko stamp is the only unbuyable stamp you'll need for your album. Everything else we're talking about today is still around in some capacity. So now that we've seen where stamps can come from, let's total up this page so we can get to the next 25. The total for the Mystery Island page is 15,8,910,635 Neopoints, with 1 unknown. If you made 100,000 Neopoints a day, it would take you 410 years to afford this album. And this is just the start. But what do you think? Is this first page going to be the most expensive page? Place your bets, but there's only one way to find out. We are getting a message from deep space. It says, damn it! From his Virtupets space station, Dr. Sloth abducted our citizens, enslaved an entire species, almost blew up the whole planet, and now he's here to conquer your wallet, too. His commander even holds Fairyland hostage, apparently. The Commander Guru stamp was awarded to 250 people 20 years ago, and that was it. Until the creative contests. Now, this stamp can be seen on the trading post with an asking price of the entire Fairyland stamp page? We'll see if that's a good deal a bit later. Until then, remember the Commander Guru stamp is worth 1.6 billion Neopoints. Altogether, the stamp page for Dr. Sloth's space station is worth 2.46 billion Neopoints. This brings our album total so far to 17.4 billion. The Virtupets total is a big drop from Mystery Island's 15 billion. But don't get bored thinking we're just going to be coasting down descending numbers. This isn't a slide, it's a roller coaster, and we're about to climb way back up, so buckle your seatbelts. When you think about Tyrannia, you think about the giant omelet. That giant frying egg is one of the most memorable images from Neopets in general. But that isn't the only thing Tyrannia is known for. In universe, Tyrannia's real claim to fame is its music scene. Yes, seriously. I'll just let it speak for itself. This was the shit. I'm telling you right now. Flash animations with music in my Neopets? A concert ticket costs 1,200 Neopoints. But to own the stamp likeness of your favorite prehistoric metal band, Walk Till You Drop, that will cost you 6 billion. You could see this band 4.8 million times over for that same amount. Quite literally walking till you drop. And even when you own your own walk-in stamp, you aren't even halfway done with Tyrannia. This page has even more stamps from the Great Stamp Giveaway than Mystery Island does. 9 of its stamps were from this event, meaning over a third of this page is just gone. The standouts here are the Discovery of Fire stamp at 2 billion and the Monoceros stamp at 3.5 billion. So between the Great Stamp Giveaway, contests, and restocking, the Tyrannia page costs 16.4 billion Neopoints. That brings our cost so far to just under 34 billion Neopoints. That's a dizzyingly large number. I know just what will soothe us. There's a lot I could say about the Haunted Woods page, but I'll just let it speak for itself. Aye! It's too hideous for words! No, but actually, what is up with this stamp? It's probably my favorite stamp of all time, just because it's so absurd. Everything about it, like, the longer you look, the worse it gets. Why is it Donna? What did she do? Why is it all caps? Why are we screaming?
Why are you running?
What's hideous? Adam, why are you letting them talk about your girl like that? And everyone knows triangle stamps were banned at this time. There's so much wrong here. I guess the Haunted Woods did its job of creeping me out. But we have to look past the distractions and focus on what's important. The Arg Donna stamp is worth 1.5 billion Neopoints, and it's the highest priced stamp here. And once you've gotten your frustration out at Donna, you're pretty much out of the woods. The total page costs 1.6 billion Neopoints. At least we saved some Neopoints in the Haunted Woods, because we're coming home to Neopia Central next, and collecting in the city isn't cheap. The priciest stamps here came from contests, and one is my favorite example of how the Neopian economy works.
Oh, this is funny. Thank you, Art Gallery.
What do I even do with this?
Neo Mail offers.
Please someone give me a ballpark.
I don't even know.
I don't even know.
1.6.
That seems right, but what if I could?
3 billion.
You know what? Fuck it.
6 billion.
Okay, I don't know this person, so I don't want to assume their intentions like that, but that's how I would have thought about it. The most recent listing for this Pet stamp had it at 3.5 billion, so that's what we're listing it as today. It's the highest price stamp on this page. In total, the Neopia Central page costs 5.5 billion. It's time now to go on an adventure to, like, save the world or something? What was the plot of Neoquest anyway? I just remember the Goop Man. For a long while, the standout on the Neoquest page was the golden Mr. Ergo stamp. It had been retired after restocking for only a month, granting it unbuyable status. But despite decades of infamy, being added to the Questlog prize pool was enough for it to plummet to a measly 7 million. I'm really interested to see how this stamp does over time, because yes, it was added to the Questlog, but it was still released in a limited number for a limited time, again, and it's still consumable, so there are presumably fewer Ergos every day. But I also see a world where just the label of having been in the Questlog is enough to destroy whatever amount of price is driven by clout. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, Ergo isn't our highest price stamp here. That title goes to Xantan. He restocks in shops, but resells for 1 billion. And altogether, the Neoquest page costs 1.3 billion. Like Ergo, the Candy Chan stamp was retired after a short run. Over 20 years, it grew and it grew to upwards of 700 million Neopoints, until it was added to the Advent calendar in 2023. Then the Questlog a year after. And now, she resells for less than 400k. That's 0.05% of her original worth. And because of that, this is our first album page costing us less than 1 billion. The Snowy Valley page is the most popular page for collectors to start with. as the whole thing only costs less than 50 million Neopoints. Over a third of that comes from its highest price stamp, the Neg Fairy stamp, at 20 million, which restocks. But don't forget, 50 million is still a lot. But you know what else is a lot? 42,459,278,007 Neopoints. Our album total so far. Let's keep going. The War of Meridell versus Darrigan was a standout moment in Neopian history. Legions of Neopians fight to take down waves of enemy forces as our most famous heroes and villains clash on the front lines in a castle in the sky. It was monumental. The album page is not. To start, the rarest stamp here is just like a guy. You'd expect like ultra shiny platinum premium triangle upside down misprint Jaren stamp, but it's him. Getting the Skeeth Defender's handsome mug for yourself will cost you 200 million. And the total for this page is 456 million. The post-war repairs definitely cost more. Well, okay. It's tempting to think, damn, they did more damage to the Meridell countryside than this stamp page is doing to my wallet. So let's not forget how big these numbers are. 400 million is a lot. $400 million is 148,698,884 7-Eleven taquitos. $400 million is 1.38 million years of cat crunchies. If you worked day and night at the federal minimum wage, it would take you 7,186 years to make $400 million. Album total so far, 42.9 billion. There once was a great king, beloved by history, but not by all of his contemporaries. For a few people, he was contentious, enough to inspire one of his comrades to murder him. The new queen, his daughter, constructed a shrine in his honor, which stands proudly in the Lost Desert today. Some say that his spirit lives on within the shrine, and Neopians can visit once a day, just in case something happens. And you can add King Coltson's likeness to your album for 2.4 billion Neopoints. Or if you get lucky in the creative contest, that is. That's our real-life offering to the Neopets gods, I suppose. The entire Lost Desert page will cost you 4.1 billion Neopoints, meaning our album has broken 47 billion, and we still have 17 more pages to go. Battledome equipment are some of the most valuable items in Neopets. The prestige, the power, the really cool names and art. It makes sense that these legendary items could have a legendary price tag. But the stamp page is pretty straightforward. The special stamp of the Battledome page is the Ring of Sloth stamp, which was released on one day in 2005. But when you put it like that, it doesn't seem the 2 million price tag is anything at all. Good thing the Rainbow Sticky Hand stamp will still cost you 150 million Neopoints. The Battledome page is worth 185 million, so if the Rainbow Sticky Hand were to plummet, this page would be the lowest stamp page and relatively up for grabs. It'd make it the first stamp page with a total that I've actually seen in my bank account before. On Neopets, not in real life. Unlike our collectible coins, rather than a bunch of cheap stamps with one huge outlier, these coins hold value. This page has the most collectibles in the 10 to 999 million range out of the entire album, which is surprisingly comforting, not feeling like the fate of this page is living on the edge. All coins restock, and our highest priced one is the Hassie coin for 500 million. The page altogether costs you 1.8 billion. Right when Neopians thought we had entered an era of peace, the fields of Meridell were scarred by war once more. This little round war criminal was a spy for the Darrigan Citadel, and you can own his likeness for 240 million Neopoints. Having the full page in memoriam of this war will cost you 703 million Neopoints. But there's a bigger adventure to be had. The sequel to Neoquest is an even more monumentous game, with an even more complex story. King Tarrasque is the only character I've ever heard of to have had victory over the Fairy Queen, and his stamp is T-posing at all of Neopia. The Tarrasque stamp costs 1.2 billion Neopoints, and if you want to own the rest of Neoquest II, you need to hand over 1.6 billion. We've heard tales of heroes and villains, explored mysterious lands, but there's other stuff going on in Neopia too. You know, like football. and beating up nerds. There are many other facets of Neopia that don't fit neatly into these themed stamp pages. Instead of continuing to make stamps for pages they wanted to add, they had to start making pages for stamps they wanted to add. There are 3 of these other pages, and we'll get to each in their due time. But what's interesting about the first one is that its exclusive stamps are from mobile games. Discontinued mobile games are especially auspicious lost Neopets features, because everything that was rewarded from them is gone. The most famous of these is undoubtedly Lutari Island. Get this, okay, Lutari Island was a feature for your flip phone in 2006. It was also the only way to get a new pet, the Lutari, the only way to add beads to your talisman, and the only way to get the Happy Lutari stamp. And ever since Neopets Mobile ended in 2009, nothing's changed. There's still no way to get the Happy Lutari stamp, other than to buy it off someone else, which will cost you 195 million Neopoints. And all of these miscellaneous other stamps together totals 520 million. We're back in space, orbiting far above Neopia on the Virtupets space station. Their commemorative coins surprisingly have a far lower price tag than the regular coins, however. The highest priced coin on this page bears the likeness of a malicious computer virus called Neopet V2. The very vintage Neopet V2 plot is one of my favorites, and I'll just let you read about it for yourself. I also don't need to risk summoning him. The space station coins page costs 335 million. There's another instantly recognizable Neopets character out there. A picture of beauty and grace. Elegant, demure.
I got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
Every day, you get 20 chances to knock down a coconut at this handsome fella's coconut shy. Of course it isn't easy to knock them down. No, I didn't say it was rigged. It's not rigged, just, rare. But what do you do with these rare evil coconuts, you ask? Well, you put them in your stamp album. Obviously. Now, most of the coconuts you need come from Mr. Whoever here, but not all of them. And our most expensive coconut has, as Jellyneo aptly shares, a unique backstory.
Number 6 plushie was originally released as a prize for the Lenny Conundrum Round 58 ending July 2003, but shortly before TNT decided to release it as an Advent Calendar prize on December 20, 2004. The number 6 plushies from the Lenny Conundrum were converted into flaming evil coconuts to protect their rarity. It was also added to the Creative Contest prize pool in the spring of 2003. It was also available as a weekly streak prize from the quest log.
What? So, it was a rare plushie, and then instead of giving it to everyone, they gave out evil coconuts instead, and converted the plushies to coconuts to keep them rare? I'm beyond trying to understand this. Maybe someone can explain this in the comments. But for now, let's just total things up and move on. The Flaming Evil Coconut is worth 20 million Neopoints, and the album page will cost you 73 million. She sells seashells by the seashore, so surely stamping is simple as that. Look at that nice even distribution. The yummy, beachy taste of stability. The highest priced seashell is the purple twirly shell for 250 million. I love that it's just that simple. Like, not ultra special golden deluxe shell. It feels like the experience of seeing a cool shell on the beach and taking it home. Like, oh, this one's purple and twirly, that's so neat. To collect all of the seashells will cost you 408 million Neopoints. But we're departing the calm beach, crossing tumultuous seas, and we're diving deeper. One wouldn't expect an underwater kingdom to have such a tumultuous, war-torn past, but it does. Pirates, mermaids, prophets, fish, a curse on Maraqua. Again, read the plot for yourselves. It's absolutely worth it. Or at least subscribe and click the bell so you're notified when I make a video on it. The highest price stamp on this page is the Jacques stamp for 200 million. Everything on the page restocks, and its total is 382 million. Hey. Remember when I said we were on a roller coaster and not to get bored? A single stamp on this next page is worth more than the last 3 full pages we talked about. And it's not alone. Altador is my favorite Neopets land, but I'll spare you the gushing. You should go do the Altador plot though. It's the only major story plot that has been left completable after release. And it's fun. Altador is also the home of the Altador Cup though, which is, okay, this is just my opinion, but it's not fun. Remember how I was saying there's football, or whatever? It's technically not football at all, I just thought it was more punchy. Anyway, that's what this is. Yooyuball, the Altador Cup. an annual sporting event in Altador where Neopians play games to earn points for their team of choice, and for prizes. And often, these prizes are stamps. The first Altador Cup, all the way back in 2006, awarded the Altador Coliseum stamp for 900 game points. And it will now cost you 500 million Neopoints to add to your album. The glory of Altador, its plot, and its sports, will cost you 1.5 billion Neopoints. On Altador we make it loud, but things are far more peaceful for the tranquil land of Shenkuu. Our page is fittingly led by the wise Norbu, asking for only 150 million. Everything on this page restocks, and will cost you in total 211 million Neopoints. I'm gonna play some Mahjong after this, but we have 6 pages left, and then some conclusions to draw. Oh, and the grand total. That too. It takes a lot to live a charmed life. These charms are kind of all over the place. One's from the Snowager, the other's from the Negfest, and then there's Scarl. Listen, if you watched the premium video, you know all about Scarl. To put it briefly, my man Controversial Carl was supposed to be awarded, but wasn't, and people were mad about that, so they awarded him in a different way. People were mad about that, and now he's not worth anything, and nobody's happy. Time will definitely balance things out. The highest price stamp of this page restocks anyway. The Techo statue charm will cost you a clean 1 billion Neopoints. And to collect all your charms, that's 1.37 billion. The other 2 page doesn't get any less chaotic. We've got plot prizes, gaming challenges, and, of course, the Altador Cup. 5 stamps here came from the Altador Cup, but one is the clear standout. Altador Cup 8 for 800 million Neopoints. What's interesting here to me is that the stamp from the year before goes for only 150 mil, so I wonder if 2013 was just a year where fewer people were dedicated enough to Neopets or the Altador Cup, so it's just scarce? Or more likely, I'm trying to make sense of something with very little sense to it. Other 2 will cost you 1.5 billion Neopoints. Hey, remember earlier? Now, this stamp can be seen on the trading post with an asking price of the entire Fairyland stamp page? Time to see if that's true. Garou was priced at 1.6 billion, and Fairyland, my math says 900 million. Doesn't seem like the best deal, but maybe there are inner economic workings that I'm not privy to. Or again, I'm trying to make sense of senselessness. The standout stamp for Fairyland was awarded for 1 week in 2010 in an event I'd never even heard of called Save the Wheels. This is what happens when you're Neopian spelunking. You come across stuff you've never heard of. The Wheel of Excitement stamp hasn't been released by other means and is worth 600 million Neopoints. We've watched our album totals skyrocket to the billions and keep climbing, and we only have 3 pages left. Do these 3 pages hold a value large enough to change the game? Will we break 50 billion? What about 60? There's only one way to find out. Keep turning the pages. This is the only time I'm excited to see a bug. Scarabs are another item that stock at the coin shop. The only one that doesn't is the Day and Night Scarab, which was awarded from a gaming challenge in 2013. But that one isn't the highest priced here. That title belongs to the Blue Collectible Scarab, which restocks, but resells for 300 million. It reminds me of coming across the purple twirly shell on the beach. This is extra neat looking, so must be valuable, right? I'll take it home. For all your shiny scarabs, you'll need 501 million Neopoints. Croc Island is home to pirates, covetous, gluttonous, jolly. Its stamps tell tales of war, treasure, beasts, and glory. It's a surprise that their total treasure is relatively meager. The entire Croc Island stamp page costs 398 million Neopoints. Greedy Captain Groontooth, featured in the infamously broken game Bilge Dice, hogs most of that total for himself. Owning his stamp is definitely the closest you'll ever get to that Bilge Dice avatar, and will cost you 200 million Neopoints. Paging through our album, we've explored every corner of the world of Neopia. We've learned of love and war, heroes and villains, booms and busts, and at the end of it all, we're back to what matters most. Football. Like its siblings, Other 3 has stamps from multiple events. Gaming challenges, story events, and plots. And still, Even if you earned your stamp from saving the world, if you didn't score for your team, you may as well have done nothing. Just like in Other 2, the highest priced stamps on the page are from the Altador Cup, with the crown jewel being the Altador Cup 9 stamp, selling for 400 million. But the culmination of all the years of football, plots, events, our 26th and final stamp album page comes out to 1.36 billion Neopoints. As we close our stamp album, let's revisit the standouts. The Island Kiko stamp is the only truly unbuyable stamp in the collection, having not shown up on the trading post for 3 years. If one were to show up, it would have to be the most valuable. Probably. But our highest priced stamp today is Walk Till You Drop at 6 billion Neopoints. This one stamp is 118 times more expensive than the cheapest stamp page, Snowy Valley, at 50.6 million Neopoints. But in part because of Walk Till You Drop, the most expensive stamp page is still Tyrannia, at 16.4 billion Neopoints. And that's just one page. You need all 26 pages, all 650 stamps. And that will cost you 60,523,361,859 Neopoints. If you had that in dollars, you would be the 29th richest person in the world. That is 8.3 million hours of work at the federal minimum wage. That's 1.2 million days of 50K a day. That's 40,349,179,906 7-Eleven taquitos. Or it's every Neopian stamp and all 26 stamp collector avatars. Is it worth it? Will you do it? And what's the moral of this story? There's a lot you can take away from this. I need a time machine, I need 60 billion Neopoints, I need a break. It's a lot. But what have we learned? The album is so expensive and expansive that unless something drastic happens, I don't believe that individual price fluctuations will make too much of a dent in the big picture. However, when we zoom in, individual stamps become a much bigger deal. We've learned that the fate of a page depends on the distribution of stamps within it. If all but one stamp is active, the fate of that page really does depend on if that one special stamp holds its value. Take the Battledome page. Altogether, its total is 185 million, but nearly all of its value comes from one stamp, the Rainbow Sticky Hand stamp at 150 million. If Rainbow Sticky Hand were to crumble, that would make the Battledome page even cheaper than Snowy Valley. And if that were to happen to all the valuable stamps, our final boss would be heavily nerfed. And when that happens, what's the point of playing anyway? Or have these large numbers skewed my perception so much? Is 60 billion really something we want to uphold as our ultimate goal? Is that fair to be the nearly unobtainable lifetime achievement of the Neopian? Or would we all rather own the Rainbow Sticky Hand, get the avatar, and get that sense of personal accomplishment? Is there a middle ground to be found? Regardless, the stamp album will always be the same. It will continue on exactly as it has for the past 23 years. Simmering, shifting like a four-dimensional object, unplaceable like a particle, only able to be comprehended when taken as a snapshot, a moment in time. And just as we must ride the current of time in the real world, we must do so on Neopets as well. Deeper through the heart of darkness, to conquer the final boss. You guys won't believe what happened. Less than a week after I finished this script, the Neopets team did something crazy. Crazy. They added a new premium feature, because of course they did, that awards insanely rare stamps, because of course it does. So, to close this video, I'll be showing you some of the rare stamps that are now available as possible prizes through the Wheel of Starlight. It certainly isn't every stamp we've talked about today. For example, none of the great stamp giveaway stamps are in this prize pool, which makes Tyrannia and Mystery Island untouched, leaving us still owing at least 30 billion. But even though it isn't every stamp, it's a lot of them. And I want to know how you feel about it. Whether you think it's fair and you're excited to have your chance to score big, if you think it's unfair because paying users can get rare items, or if you just think prices should stay high to keep competition up. Let me know in the comments. And make sure to subscribe and join the Patreon to support the cause of Neopian spelunking. My name is Cybunny Online, signing off for now.